Hey, it's Mythic Mike. We're coming at you with AETHERDRIFT previews, a new standard set that's about to come out, and my God, are there powerful cards. Definitely going to be a lot of standard impact. We've got some vehicles and artifacts, but we also have a lot of fun cards for tribes that maybe weren't quite there yet. So I am super pumped. Let's get into my top 50 ones I enjoyed and ones that I think are good. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed any. Starting out, we got Basri. Such a sick card. I think kind of what Cats needed. Cats has always been very close, but this, I mean, just kind of has everything going for it. Besides the fact that it's not a cat itself. It's a 1 mana 2/1. It is legendary, Human Knight. And it can do a few things. One, you can cycle it, discard it, and draw a card by paying 3 at instant speed, and cats you control gain hexproof and indestructible. So very, very cool protection spell and can blow people out in combat. And you can exert it by paying 1 and tapping it to make a 1/1 white cat creature token with lifelink, which will be buffed by your, cat lord, so it'll usually be bigger. And that is just very nice on a 2/1 that makes a 1/1 that can also be an indestructible hexproof spell is nasty. Um, Similarly, Vampire is never quite there, but this is a 1 mana, excuse the art, for some reason Scryfall or Moxfield, which I'm using, has weird art for some of them. This is not the normal art. This is like the special art. But Gas Guzzler, love the name. 1 mana 2/1 Vampire Rogue. Vampire, very important. Rogue, it makes it an outlaw. It has Start Your Engine. Start Your Engine is a new mechanic where you get either 1, 2, 3, or 4 speed. And then once you're at 4 speed, you are at max speed, and you get a special ability. And you start at 1 speed when you play a creature with Start Your Engines. And then every time an opponent loses or is dealt damage in your turn, then you get 1 more speed that turn. So if you hit them the first turn, you'll be at 2 speed. Then you just have to hit them 2 more turns, and they'll be at 4 speed or max speed. So it's a very interesting ability. But 1 mana 2/1, it does enter tapped, but it is a relevant creature type. And then max speed, it starts your engines, which is good. It starts your speed going. But max speed, you pay 1, sacrifice another creature or vehicle, draw a card, and it is unlimited. So obviously, there's a lot of decks that can use an unlimited sack outlet. I think this is going to be pretty nasty. Also, if you've got like a bunch of little vampires and things, you might just want to go through your deck for a sick card. And again, I mean, look at all these, they've really pumped up a lot of the tribes that needed the help. Goblins was very close, but it wasn't quite there. This is a 1 mana 2/1 Goblin Artificer, and it has an exhaust, so you can only do it once generally, where you pay 3, discard 2 cards, and draw up to 2 cards, and draw that many cards, and put a +1/+1 counter on this. So that's very, very nice. First of all, I mean, there's things like eidetic memory, right, which drawing cards will give you other benefits. And, you ditch 2 lands, you draw better cards, and this is a 3/2 on a 2/1 Goblin Body. I think it's going to see some play. And here we go. Shark Pirate. Pirates were never quite there, and sharks are not even close. But this is going to be sick, and actually goes with the last card. Because this is a 1 mana 1/1. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, put that many +1/+1 counters. So if we do one of those things like discard 3 cards and draw 3 cards, this is now a 4/4. And you can cycle it. Cycle it is discard draw, and there's a lot of cycling cards, so that will actually buff this as well. And we already have a Pirate Lord that buffs things. I think this is going to be a budget banger, guys, because it is uncommon. And again, if we pay this, discard 2, draw 2, this will be a 3/3. I think this is going to be a very, very nasty card. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things with. I'm going through 1 drops, then 2 drops, just in terms of ordering. All right. Weird art. Not the real art, but it is what it is. So this one is a Merfolk, and I think it's going to put Merfolk on the map. Mindspring Merfolk, 1 mana Merfolk Wizard, and you exhaust for X and 2 blue. Draw X cards, put a +1/+1 on each Merfolk creature you control. So just for 2, you draw 0 cards, but every Merfolk gets a +1/+1 counter, and it's already go wide. For 3 mana, you draw a card and put, a counter everything, right? And if you have 5 mana, you could draw 3 cards and buff all your stuff. So this is nasty. It's not even legendary. I think it's pretty sick. And even if you don't have other Merfolk, This, you can draw cards, and then this will be a 2/2. Already pretty good. Guys, why would I put this in here? I love this card. I usually hate counter spells, but I love this card. I've been missing it so much. It's a reprint. Spell Pierce, 1 mana instant, counter target non-creature spell unless the controller pays 2. I never want to play counter spells. I never want to play protection spells. I barely want to play removal. I want creatures. And you know what this does? You can play a ton of low creatures or flyers or whatever else you want. And if they try to board wipe you, get out of here. And you only had to hold 1 mana open. Not to mention, this hits all of the vehicles now. It hits Sheltered by Ghosts. Guys, play this card. It is nasty. Stampeding Scurryfoot. I'm not sure why there's a little black box, but ignore it. This is a card that people probably would think is limited, but I think it's a budget banger. 1 mana mouse. There's a mouse deck. And you can exhaust for 4. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and create a 3/3 elephant token. First of all, there's a lot of creatures, I'll show some of them in here potentially, where you can make activated abilities cost less. But even as a 1/1 green creature that is a mana sink, when first of all you get a lot of mana in green, to be a 2/2 that makes a 3/3 on one card, I think is reasonable. And I'm excited to do something with it. Oh my god, one of my favorite cards, The Last Ride. So there's been a few variants of these cards over time. 1 mana 13/13 artifact vehicle, crew 2, but it gets -X where X is your life total. You can pay 3 to pay 2 life and draw a card. What you do with these decks is you play a lot of like pain lands and ways to hurt yourself to get benefit, and then you get down to like 2 life and you attack in with a bunch of 1 mana 11/11s. Right? That's, or you fling the 11/11 at their face or something. So there's a lot of fun play patterns with this. This is surprisingly powerful. And even if you have 10 life and it's a 1 mana 3/3, obviously as the game goes on, it'll get bigger. Better than you would initially think. Oops. All right, we got Voyager Glide Car, 1 mana 2/3 vehicle. Guys, there's going to be a crazy either Selesnya or white or blue-white artifact deck, because 1 mana 2/3, we scry when it enters. It's only crew 1, and you can tap untap creatures you control, and this becomes a artifact creature and gains flying, and put a +1/+1 counter on it, so it'll be a 3/4 flying that turn and just attack in. Okay. Also, there's Survivor, and there's other things that want you to tap your creatures. Survivor is if this creature is tapped, then you get a special ability. This helps with that. Guys, one of my favorite cards, Bloodghast. It is a reprint. Vampire, super relevant. This creature cannot block. Who cares? It has haste as long as the opponent has 10 or less life. Awesome. We're doing black aggro. And landfall. When a land enters, you may return this from your graveyard to the battlefield. I already have like a no rares mono black mill. And we could just add this in, and we have 3 of them in the graveyard because we're milling a ton. We play just a normal land. Now we have all these 2/1 haste. There's going to be so many crazy decks with this card, guys. Watch out. Awesome. There's a few legendary creatures that don't have any text but are huge. 2 mana 0/8 octopus. It does not have defender, and there are cards that say this creature attacks with its power instead of its toughness. There's a few cards that say that actually now, so this could be an 8/8 attacking in. Very sick, and we're gonna do some stuff with it. Cloudspire Coordinator, 2 mana human pilot. When this creature enters, scry 2. 2 mana 3/1 scry 2 is already reasonable, but then you can tap it and make X 1/1 pilot creature tokens. Those are creatures that are 1/1s, but they can actually saddle things or crew vehicles as if they were bigger creatures, as if they were like a 3/1. And you make it's, by the way, you make a bunch of 1/1s equal to the number of mounts or vehicles that entered the battlefield under your control. So entered the battlefield this turn, so that's a little worse than I initially thought. But you can just make 1/1s every turn that crew your vehicles, and there are, like we showed earlier, 1 mana vehicles now that you can just play a bunch and make multiple 1/1s. This is in Boros, where Go Wide is already good. There's some cool stuff. This is one that people I think don't think is great, but I do think it's great. I think some of this stuff is underrated. 2 mana. First of all, there's decks that like it when you exhaust things, you get abilities. There's other creatures that like benefit from exhausting. But this one is a 2 mana 2/2 goblin, and it has exhaust one. Other creatures gain haste until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. You can only do this once generally, but then it'll be a 3/3 goblin that gave other creatures haste. Very sick. There's a bunch of cool ways to exploit that. Um, and I mean, there's like token manufacturers that make tokens at the beginning of your turn, for example, for free, like the Might Factory. Um, but also, there's another exhaust. Create a 4/4 dinosaur dragon with flying. There's so much value on one card here. I don't imagine it can be bad. Hazarat. This is an interesting one. It'll be good if it's good and bad if it's bad. It's going to depend on how easy it is to get max speed. This is a 2 mana 5/3 indestructible haste. What? But it can't attack or block unless you have max speed. So I think it's going to be easier than we think to get some early creatures down that say start your engines and then just hit the opponent. Then this will be a 5/3. It might indestructible haste for 2 mana. It might be turn 4 or something or 5, but it's still, I mean, those are end the game stats. No trample, but still very good. It also has this other ability if you played earlier. 1 mana tap, target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked. There is a 2 mana green mount varmint kind of thing. I forget what it is, badger. And it gets bigger. It gets really, really big because it like mills creatures that is as big as how much you milled. So you could make it unblockable and then make it bigger. And I think there's going to be a lot of fun things here. All right, Kaladin Triumph Caster. Mounts and vehicles you control have haste. It's a 2 mana 2/3. And it's a human. Whenever a mount you control enters, it becomes saddled. What? So mounts are just haste creatures now. Whenever a vehicle you control enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. This is broken. This just makes all your vehicles, which are overstatted, not have to be saddled and give them haste. Yeah. This is also broken. 2 mana. It is legendary, unfortunately, but it's an artifact creature. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts. What? We can have so many artifacts, like little map tokens and stuff. Start your engine, so it starts getting your speed. And max speed is whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. Honestly, you don't even need that text. Just make it like a 2 mana 6/3 artifact, and I'm already sold. And you're telling me it starts your engines, and it's going to help you copy all your artifacts later? This is busted. Ranger's Refueler. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, here's what I talked about. So that's why like the Goblin with 2 exhaust abilities is insane. Whenever you activate an exhaust ability, draw a card, and it has an exhaust ability. It just becomes an artifact creature, and it's now a 4/4 forever, so you never have to crew it again. Otherwise, you have to crew it too. Broken. Guys, I hate mill, to be honest with you, but I think I might actually make a mill deck because this card's bonkers. 2 mana artifact. Any number of target creatures, any number of target players each mill 2 cards for 1 mana and tap it. In standard, it's just your opponent mills 2 cards. But then exhaust. You can do it just once, but your opponent mills cards equal to the number of cards in their graveyard. And you can self-mill yourself, actually, for both of these. But that means if you get them to like 25 cards in their graveyard, then this just ends the game because they mill another 25. And they've probably already gone through 10 cards, and it's GG. I mean, this is the most mill I've seen on something for 4 mana. And also it's an artifact, so it helps with artifact synergies. I think this will be annoying, and we might give it a try. Run over, guys. I've been asking for a green removal spell to kill red. We got it, baby. 2 mana instant. It's a common. It only costs 1 if it targets a map. If it targets. Oh yeah, sorry. It only costs 1 if it targets a mount or vehicle you control. By targets, that's a little confusing, but target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So You will have to crew the mount. I mean, crew the vehicle, but mounts are already creatures. And what's really nice is a 1 mana removal spell. It's not a fight spell, it's a bite spell, so your creature won't die. There's a lot of big vehicles, and yeah, it's going to be nasty. We're going to be able to instant speed blow out things and not worry on mono red in the right deck. This one's pretty sick. 2 mana, 3/3 flying artifact vehicle, crew 2. So that means you need 2 power to crew it. I should have said that, but it's been an ability for a while. You tap a creature with at least 2 power, then this becomes a creature. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate. Didn't read the first part. As this vehicle enters, choose a non-land card name. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name cost 2 more to activate. So this will go in like some kind of hand hate card. I think planeswalkers, right? They won't be able to activate their things. Mana dorks won't be able to activate without paying 2 more. Crew is an activated ability, so they won't be able to make their vehicles turn into things without paying 2. I mean, this is going to mess up a lot of things on a 3/3 flying body. Pretty sick. And again, there's like all those, like you play this alongside this guy, and that's a 3/3 flying haste. You didn't even have to crew because you play this turn 2, this turn 3. It has haste, and you don't even have to crew it that turn. So there's a lot of ways to make this broken. All right, Slick Imitator. It's a news. 2 mana, start your engine, right? You have to get to max speed by doing damage every turn. But then once you do have speed of 4, you pay 1 and sacrifice this creature. Copy target spell you control. You may choose new targets. I might not be playing this card, but I am a little worried, right? I mean, copying, like, if you play a fairly big spell and just pay 1 to copy it, whether it's draw a ton of cards, whether it's deal damage, whether it's whatever, like doppelgang. Doubling a spell is insane. And if we can get to max speed pretty easily, I think this will be something. Yeah, baby. 2 mana, Homunculus, start your engine. So you have no maximum hand size. And if you draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. It's a 0/4. We're putting it in eidetic memory. You need max speed for that last thing. So max speed, we'll see. If it's not easy to get to max speed, then this might not be very good. But once we start drawing 2 cards for every card we draw in a deck based around card draw, that's going to be broken. They're really helping mono green out. Not only are we getting some nice removal, but this is what it's been missing. 2 mana, 3/3 reach, so we can block their flyers. Finally, the bird, get out of here. It usually doesn't get bigger than 3 toughness, right? And also, it has the cycling ability, discard and draw. And that if you do that, you can pay X and 2 green, and you can destroy an artifact or enchantment with mana value X. So if you pay 3, you can kill an artifact or enchantment with 1 mana. You can kill ghosts for 4, and you draw a card, remember. Kill temporary lockdown for 5. I mean, you might not play that side very often, but when you need to kill a ghost, you need to kill a ghost, sheltered by ghosts. And you'll do it. You'll pay 4 for a card and to kill a ghost. Otherwise, we're just playing a 6 static green creature like we love to. All right, Winter Cursed Rider, 2 mana, human warlock. Ward, pay 2 life. Artifacts you control have ward, pay 2 life. So if they do hit this, they're going to lose 2 life. And also, then all our artifacts are kind of hard to counter or target. And it's a 3/2. Not bad. And it's a human. Right? And it's a warlock, which is an outlaw. Exhaust, you can only do it once, but you pay 4 and you tap it. Exile X artifact cards from your graveyard. Obviously, this will be in an artifact deck. Each other non-artifact creature gets -X, -X until end of turn. So this will die because it's not an artifact, but it'll be a one-sided board wipe because we're just playing artifacts, and our artifacts will not get hit. We'll exile like 5 things, -5, -5 to everything else. Very sick card. Very sick card. All right, we got Zahur, Glory's Past. Very sick. Zombie Cat Warrior, guys. I already have an Orzhov Cats and Demons deck with Shapeshifters. Check it out if you haven't. This is a 2 mana Zombie Cat Warrior. I'm mostly focused on Cat on that one, to be honest. But Zombie is interesting too. Start your engines, and you can always sacrifice another creature only once each turn, but it's You don't have to, do anything. And you surveil one. So you generally mill pretty sick on a 2 mana 3/2 body. That's multiple relevant types. And then max speed, when you get to speed 4, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token that can block, including this one. Right? So if they kill this in response and we're at max speed, we get a 2/2 back. Not bad at all. All right. On to the 3 mana cards, baby. Dude, the power level keeps going up. By the way, this one, as I say that, is one that people think is not good, but I'm gonna break it. 3 mana Goblin Artificer, or Artificer, whatever it is. 4/2, and it's 4 mana. You can only do it once to exhaust. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature, so it's 6/4. The interesting line, though, honestly, a 3 mana 4/2 is not bad. And I've already been playing a Gruul Goblins deck, which is kind of interesting. But whenever you activate an exhaust ability, including this one, return this card from the graveyard to the battlefield, not even tapped. Are you joking me? So we can self-mill and bring this back for free. Free 4/2. The heck? What the heck? Insidious Roots, here we come. Carrion Cruiser, Insidious Roots, here we come. 3 mana artifact vehicle, 3/2. When this enters, mill 2 cards and then return a creature or vehicle card from your graveyard to your hand, not just from the milled cards, and you crew 1. I think this will be reasonable. All right. Fish Pirate, we got another pirate. 3 mana creature, 3/3. It has haste. It's not a vehicle itself, which is pretty cool. Vehicles you control have haste, and whenever you attack, if a pirate and a vehicle attacked, draw 3 cards and discard 2, so you get a card. Plus, the draw discard thing goes with the other pirate, right? That gets bigger when you discard cards. Goes with eidetic memory. It's not that hard to attack with a pirate and a vehicle. There's a bunch of pirates and vehicles that go together. There's the boat still. This is broken, guys. Bringing pirates over. Talk about broken. Some of this is alternative art. Forgive it. Well, this one's pretty cool. 3 mana vehicle, 4/2, trample haste. When it enters, it can attack because it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. You don't have to crew it. Otherwise, after the first turn, crew 2. And 3 mana, discard a card. Return this from the graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it, so you can't do it again. Activate only as a sorcery. But for 3 mana and discarding a card, this can come back from your graveyard and attack in that turn. Because when it enters, it becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. And it has trample and haste. It has trample. What the heck? Dude, we're playing that and that, and are you joking me right now? Oh my, dude, this is the worst alternative art, but not the real art, whatever. Yeah, I don't know why Moxfield has weird art on some of these, but whatever, man. 3 mana Goblin Mercenary. This is just going to break goblins. Start your engines. But by the way, unless it says max speed before it, you can do everything normally. It's only the max speed part that you have to wait for max speed. But so normally other goblins have haste. Awesome. Including the one I, showed earlier. Other goblin, at the beginning of combat in your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. It will have haste. That token attacks this turn if able. Fine. And then max speed, you can tap it and add a mana for each goblin you control. What? This thing does everything. It makes goblins with haste. It gives your other goblins haste. And then it's a giant mana dork. You can make like 10 mana, kill them out of nowhere. Yeah. There's like spells that are like X+1 and deal X damage or buff a creature big, right? Pretty sick. I'm super excited for this one. A legendary creature with no text, but it's a crocodile. 3 mana, 7/2. I think that's good enough, guys. I really do. I think we can fling it, and it's going to be nice. This is pretty cool. 3 mana, 5/4. Other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1. There is like a 2 mana red 4/1 dinosaur, which is pretty cool too. I'm not sure. We're going to try to make dinos work. This is a stupid ability. A 3 mana 5/4 is reasonable. Why do we care about making dinosaurs +1/+1? They're already giant things. You know when you like other cats get +1/+1? When all your cats are 1 mana 1/1s. because then everything's double and now is a 2/2. We don't care if our 7/6 is an 8/7, so it's kind of dumb. But we're gonna try it. Repurposing Bay. I think this is going to be broken. Sacrifice another artifact. Search your library at 2 and tap it. It's 3 mana initially, so it goes with that blue spell. I forget what it's called. Simulacrum, maybe. Where if you pay a 3 mana blue, if you play a 3 mana artifact, you make like an artifact token that's the size of, which is a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts. Maybe this goes in here because it triggers that. And then I think it is kind of broken though, because 2 and tap, sacrifice another artifact, search your library for an artifact card with mana value equal to 1 plus, so you get a better artifact. The sacrifice artifact's mana value, put it onto the battlefield. So we can be triggering the Simulacrum blue card or finding it. Yeah, there's going to be a way to break this, guys. Don't you worry. People don't like this card, but it's a budget banger, guys. So 3 mana, sorcery, uncommon, return up to 1 target creature card, up to 1 target mount card, up to 1 target vehicle card, and up to 1 target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. Insidious Roots, but also we just went through like this one, right, that comes back, and this one comes back. So we can make a self-mill deck in green or green red or green black, and I think we can get all those things in there. There's really good creatures. There's good vanilla creatures without text. There's good vehicles and mounts. I love the Badger mount. If you can get 3 or 4 cards back from this, you had that you want, I mean, it's busted. So I think this will be interesting, and it might go in Insidious Roots. You know, I like to break Insidious Roots. All right, 3 mana. This is a very nice card. It is sorcery, unfortunately, but it's 3 mana. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a permanent with 1 value 1. Wow. 2 less to cast if it targets a permanent with mana value 1. Return target creature or vehicle an opponent controls to its owner's hand, and you draw a card. I changed my mind. Delete this from your memory. I thought this was instant speed, which is why I thought it was good. It's probably not that good. Whatever, I'm gonna leave it on the list. Who needs to edit? Now the positive is there's a lot of 1 mana things that are really good to get out of here, and then you can draw a card, which goes with eidetic memory and stuff. But there already is like a 3 mana one of these, and then it manifests dread. It returns something and manifests dread. It is 3 mana versus 1 mana. I'm torn. We'll see. We'll see. There is a 1 mana unsummon that hits vehicles, which is an instant speed. There is a 1 mana like return target creature or vehicle at instant speed, which is going to be a better version of unsummon as well. I didn't put it in here, but that will be used all the time. This is actually interesting. I'll have to think about it more, but it's close. Now this I don't have to think about. 3 mana Thunderous Velocipede, vehicle 5/5 trample, crew 3, and each other vehicle and creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's mana value 4 or less. So small things gets only 1 counter, but big things get 3 +1/+1 counters. Why is it that way? It should be the opposite way. It's broken. I mean, I already have the 3/2 survivor guy that I love tapping, and it's going to go just with. I'm excited for this card. Also, remember, like, these are artifacts that go with an artifact theme, but they also don't get hit by board wipes. They are hard to kill. Insane. Talking about another insane card, budget banger, 3 mana human wizard, 2/2, and when it enters, you may search your library for an artifact card with mana value 4 or 5, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So you can just play 1 4 mana artifact that you want to get, or 1 or 2 that are situational, like a 1-off of something cool, 1-off of like a kill spell, and then you can just play 4 of these and then grab which one you want, and in a turn you can play it. That's pretty cool. Unstoppable plan though, my god. I'm worried about this one. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. There is already a good amount of Convoke cards. Wandering Rescuer, there's a Convoke white removal spell. I mean, Convoke is going to actually do some stuff here. So I think, so Convoke is you can pay the cost of the spell by tapping your creatures. So if you can do that and then untap your, I think there's a Convoke deck coming here, and we're gonna make it. Similarly, and also, sorry, uh, this isn't just like, it's also like mana rocks and things. It's not just creatures, non-land permanents. This one, 3 mana, human knight, 3/4, and at the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control. Again, we can break some stuff. And also, you know, you just have vigilance and you can block for this and the card I just showed. And for 4 mana, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. You can pay it multiple times if you have a million mana too, which is interesting. Voyager, Quick Welder. Guys, I'm telling you, budget banger. 3 mana, 2/4. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. There are a bazillion 1 mana artifacts that will be free. Literally free. So there's going to be some interesting combo where you just play through your deck. We got Bright Glass Gear Hulk. So, might be one of my favorite cards. It's an artifact creature construct. By the way, Ashnod's Harvester, one of my favorite cards, is a construct. I might do construct tribal. We're gonna see if that's a thing. And then you can use Cavern of Souls and Secluded Courtyard. So then we can play like black cards with this card, which is green and white. Well, we'll see if we can do it. But First Strike Trample. It's 4 mana. And when this creature enters, you may search your library for up to 2 artifact, creature, and/or enchantment cards with mana value 1 or less. What? Reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle. What? I can just get 2 1/1s, or including like a 1-drop removal spell or something? What? What? And it's a 4/4 first strike trample. Yeah. And there's ways to ramp into artifacts too. It's going to be sick. This is, I'm not sure why there's a little thingy on top. Oh well. It's 2 black and green. So it's 4 mana, 6/6 trample, crew 2, and when it enters, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. So that's 6 damage in a race. I don't think you can do better than that. I think that's insane. It survives board wipes. I mean, 6 damage is such a thing, right? And imagine you play this against mono red, and now you have a 6/6 on blocks, and you just gain 3 life. What? What? And it's an artifact. Mu Yanling Wind Rider. It is 4 mana, human wizard pirate. When it enters, create a 3/2 vehicle artifact token with crew 1. It's a 2/4 itself. And vehicles you control are flying. My god. Whenever one or more creatures you control with flying deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. I already have a blue-white flyers deck. I might not even need vehicles. But yeah, this is, I mean, right, this is could be a worse version of the courageous 4 mana cat guy that does the same thing, but in some situations, especially if you have vehicles, it is way better. Makes 2 bodies. I think we have a lot of things going for it here. Oil Deep Gear Hulk. It is 4 mana. Artifact creature construct. Lifelink Ward 1. They've been making 4 drops that I think are going to be good here. It's a construct. It goes with Ashnod's Harvester. What? Construct tribal. When this creature enters, look at target player's hand, and you can make him discard a card, including a land. Including a land, guys. Usually you can't do that. But they do get to draw a card in return. But get their sweeper out or whatever else you want. And then you have a 4/4 lifelink ward 1 construct. That's an artifact. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, we're on to the big boys now. Again, weird art, whatever. 5 mana Aggonosaur Rex. This is not the normal art. It's a dinosaur. Dinosaurs, I mean, I think we might be able to do something with them, even though I didn't love that other card. Because this one is pretty nasty. 5 mana, 8/8 trample, already reasonable. It's not even legendary. And you can cycle it for 3. And when you do, you draw a card and then put 2 +1/+1 counters on 1 target creature or vehicle. It gains trample and indestructible. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff on a creature. And then, of course, you can reanimate something you cycle, which comes up in a lot of dinosaur decks. Loot the Pathfinder, pretty cool. Not really my cup of tea, but it might be good enough. I have to try it. Because it's 5 mana, but weird colors. Legendary creature, Beast Noble, double strike, Vigilance, Haste, so it will hit for 4, but then you can exhaust only once unless you play, there's like a creature that lets you exhaust more than once, but for 1 green, tap it, add 3 mana of any color. What? For blue, draw 3 cards. Red deals 3 damage to any target, including face. Something to note here is Agatha's Soul Cauldron is that 2 mana artifact that lets you like exile cards from your graveyard, and then your creatures with counters on them have the activated abilities of a creature from the graveyard. So you could like give all your creatures these exhaust abilities. There's something here. That's probably going to be how this card works. Memory Guardian, 5 mana. I'm just showing some budget bangers. I think there's just a deck like this because this is a 5 mana Robot Artificer, artifact creature, uncommon. Affinity for artifacts, it's 1 less for each artifact we control, and it's flying. So if you just have 2 artifacts, it's a 3 mana, 3/4 flying. If you have 3 artifacts, 2 mana, 3/4 flying. And very easily can be 1 mana for a 3/4 flying artifact. Yeah, I think we're playing this. This is interesting. Not really my style, but pretty cool. It is 5 mana with some white and blue weird mana. Artifact creature, construct. Might need to. Double strike, prowess. When this creature enters, you can, for each opponent, so in standard, it's just, you know, for the opponent, put up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls onto the owner's library 3rd from the top, which is really, really bad for them because they're going to hit it eventually, but when they don't need it, right, anymore. So it's removing it. It's not just bouncing it to their hand. It's way worse. That's a lot of value. It is 5 mana, but a lot of value. Now, I don't love this card, but it's interesting enough that I'm going to put it in. 5 mana, God, 6/6, reach, trample, indestructible. And it has this thing at the beginning of your first main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has an odd number of counters on it, draw 2 cards. So it can block. Oh, and sorry. And it can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it. So the first turn you can block with it. The second turn you get a +1/+1 counter. You can't attack or block, but you do draw 2 cards. Now what you can do is you can like put Snakeskin Veil and put a +1/+1 counter on it so then you can still attack. Or, you know, you can mess up the ordering to get the benefit of both. Or like the, you know, the talent that puts +1/+1 counters on each turn would kind of combo with this. So pretty cool. I mean, reach, trample, indestructible is not bad. It's interesting. There is a lot of exile. And I'm just not sure we have the tempo to play a 5-drop that doesn't do something more. So we'll see. Similarly, not my style, but I'm going to show you it. 5 mana sorcery. All creatures and vehicles lose indestructible and then destroy all creatures and vehicles. Way better than just exiling them, but it, you know, it is a similar, like gets around some protection. And then what's cool about this is it has cycling. So if you're playing against someone without creatures or creatures you need to kill, 2, you get a new card. So very rarely is there cycling on board wipes, so worth mentioning. Is that, oh, last but not least, we got some weird art, but interesting. 5 mana demon goes in the demon deck. Who made this art? This is not the real art. Flying trample, start your engines, and at the beginning of your end step, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is your speed. So the first turn, if you have no speed, you will draw a card and lose 1 life. But if you have 4 speed, you'll draw 4 cards, lose 4 life. If you have Sheldred, you won't lose any life. You're obviously gaining life off the demon room often. Interesting. Will this go in the demons deck? We'll have to see. But my God, guys, do we have some sick cards. Let's be honest. We're going to break this. We're going to break this day 1. Like and subscribe. Let's go, baby. Smashing. Let's go.